And lots of people won't pay attention to children because they're terrified of them. They're terrified that they'll do something wrong with them, or that the kid won't like them. And this is especially true of kids, is they are looking for positive attention. They're looking for attention, period. That's their currency. They'll take negative attention if they can't get positive attention. And what they really want is for someone to watch them and notice when they do something that makes them a good person, and then have that pointed out. It's like, good work, kid. Way to be. I saw what you did. Here's what it was. Good job. They're just thrilled that their action, their small child action, was important enough to draw your focused attention toward. That makes them glow.
What are the most important things we should be teaching young children in schools?
To play fair. That's the most important thing that you can teach children. Because the fundamental ethic, like the ground of ethics, is fair play. And children practice that while they're playing. And so a lot of what should be happening in schools is play by children, a fair bit of it spontaneous, especially when they're very young, but regulated by adults so that it remains fair, right? That it remains reciprocal. And you can tell that because children will continue to play a game if they believe the game is fair. When the game stops being fair, then it breaks down into squabbling and crying, which is what our games are breaking down into right now, right? And so then you need a mediator who comes in and adjudicates, says, well, how about if you try it this way? Maybe we need to adjust the rule. Let's see if we can get the game going again. It's very important for kids to learn how to play fair. And I'm afraid that a fair bit of our electronic technology is taking them away from the kinds of social interactions that they need to learn one-on-one to know how to play fair. I might be wrong about that because I don't know what effect video games have. And the evidence that they're bad isn't strong, and they're new, so we really don't know. So that might be good enough. But that, and well, it'd be good to teach kids to read. We seem to be continually confused about whether or not that's a good idea. But we actually do know how to teach kids to read. You can use phonics programs, and I believe computers could speed that along substantially. It'd be good to teach them to read. It's good to teach them to write. It's good to encourage them, That's another thing. It's a good thing to know this just generally. Here's a real powerful technique that you might want to think about, and because this is worth knowing. Often when you have a family member or someone that you're interacting with, and they make a mistake, then you call them out on their mistake. And it's pretty obvious when they make a mistake, because you're going along on a pathway together, and then there's a divergence from the pathway, and you notice that's negative emotion. And you say, what the hell, what's going on? What you don't notice is all the time you're spending walking forward when it's going real well. And the reason for that is what's going real well, so you mostly ignore it. But that's not so good. You got to wise up. So like if you're dealing with people in your own life or yourself, for that matter, and you notice that the person that you're with or are has done something that you would like to see repeated perhaps many times, you might want to point it out. Say, look, I just saw you do this thing, and I'm really happy about that. You did a great job. I'm really happy about that. A little more of that would be wonderful, and just leave it be. And people are very thrilled about that because and this is especially true of kids, is they are looking for positive attention. They're looking for attention, period. That's their currency. They'll take negative attention if they can't get positive attention. But they really want positive attention. And what they really want is for someone to watch them and notice when they do something that makes them a good person, and then have that pointed out. It's like, good work, kid. Way to be. I saw what you did. Here's what it was. Good job. I'm sure you could do a bunch more of that. And then they're just thrilled that their action, their small child action, was important enough to draw your focused attention toward. That makes them glow. And the probability that will help them continue to act in those ways is extremely, extremely powerful. So, if you're trying to get along with some kid, adolescent maybe, because they're kind of hard to get along with often, watch them. And if they do something it doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be better than what they're usually doing. Which is not a bad approximation of good. It's like, look, I noticed that you were more pleasant tonight at the dinner table. Or maybe that's not quite the way of phrasing it. Because it's sort of an insult to the way they are before. You might say, well, because you have to be careful, right, when you say these things, and not put a barb in it because you're kind of irritated. You might say, it was enjoyable having dinner with you tonight. And they'll kind of clue into why that might be. And they'll think, oh, well, hey, it turns out to matter if I do something that's positive. And so that's a piece of information about keeping your eyes open. So what do we do with kids? Let them play. Make them play fair. That's really important. Teach them to read. That'd be good. Teach them to write. That'd be good. Teach them to stand up and speak for themselves. That would be good. You can teach a child to stand up pretty convincingly and say something intelligent in about 15 minutes if you do it carefully. And it almost never happens in school. It's really quite appalling. So that's another thing you can do for your kids, is get them to stand up and say something, and not like this, talking to the floor and barely able to hear, so that people have to strain and strive to hear them, but to stand up and to say something. And you can tell them, well, stand up a little more, put your shoulders back a little more volume so I can hear you. It can be a little game. God, they learn that so fast you can hardly believe it. And I don't know why they're not taught that. I think because people are afraid of competence. And so they're afraid to teach kids to be competent. And so we don't. And they kind of have to learn it on their own. And that's unfortunate, let's say.
Say you've got a 3-year-old kid and their room is chaos, right? There's monsters are going to be coming out under the bed in no time flat, unless that room gets some order in it. And so you tell the kid, clean up the room. It's a mess. And you leave and you come back and the kid's like throwing Legos everywhere. They're not cleaning up. And then you think, that's a bad That's a bad theory, Because if you want to have a good fight with someone and destroy them, then that's what you do. You don't bother with the subtleties down here. You just go right for the jugular. It's like you're a bad, stupid kid. You've always been that way. You're hopeless. There's not a chance of teaching you anything, right? And that way you can nail the past, the present, and the future all in the same insult. You've always been a terrible person. There's no teaching you, and your future's going to be exactly the same way. Then the only thing the person can do, if you do that to them, is hit you, because that's it. There's no coming back from that. You've boxed them completely in. So if you want to have a really unproductive argument, you go right for this. Past, present, and future, you're not a good person. Demolish their entire conceptual structure and expose them completely naked to chaos. It's like, great, you won the argument. So with the 3-year-old, maybe what you do is you say, you pick the level of analysis at which they're actually functioning, and you say, and this is something you can do if you pay attention to a kid, and lots of people won't pay attention to children because they're terrified of them. They're terrified that they'll do something wrong with them, or that the kid won't like them or some damn thing. It's like, all you have to do to get a kid to like you is pay attention to the kid for like 2 seconds, and the kid will instantly like you, because attention is it's the ultimate currency for children, right? They need adult attention because adults know way more than kids, and so they love attention. All you have to do is pay attention to them. They will like you instantly. So you tell the kid, you see that teddy bear? The kid goes, yes. Then you've established that the child has mastered the art of perceiving a teddy bear. Because they can say, yes, it's a complicated thing, man. It's like a 6-month-old isn't going to do that. 3-month-old has got the whole teddy bear identification subroutine automatized. So, teddy bear, yes. Can you pick it up? Yes. Pat, pat, pat. Good work. Do you see the hole? That shelf? Yes. Can you put the teddy bear in that hole? Yes. Go over and do that. Pat, pat, pat. Great. Okay, now we'll do thing number 2, thing number 3. So you're building up the micro routines of cleaning up the room from the bottom up, right? You're building it into their body because you're starting with the things they've already automatized and building upwards towards abstraction. And so once the kid has all the micro routines down, and maybe there's I don't know, how many micro routines are there to clean up your room? 200? Like a lot, but not an infinite number. So you teach them all the micro routines, and then you can say, run set of micro routines, which means clean up room, and then they can do it. They know what it means. So, but you do the building from the bottom up.